What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I've probably got one of my biggest comps ever, the Salt Lake Pan American Cup. My goal for this comp is to make my first ever elite level semis. Can I do it? Stick around to the end of the video to find out. Alright, so coming out to my first boulder, I was pretty confident looking at it. It didn't look too crazy. The move from the zone to the finish did look kind of tricky though, but the start wasn't too bad. You just had to really get on top of the foot for the crimp to be good. And then the stand-up wasn't that hard because the foot was good and I managed to flash to the zone, which would be important for my score. But once I got up to the last move, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I wanted to try and get my left hand on the zone hold so I could go right hand to the finish. So I dropped down a little bit, and then even with my left hand on the zone, the big green foot was pretty bad and hard to stand on. This next attempt, I wanted to try going right hand from the zone to the finish to see how that felt. And it ended in a little bit of a crazy fall, but I was fine. And my hair was just a little messed up, but that's fine. This attempt, I found out that doing the stand up to the zone, you actually could just stand up without hands, which was good to know because it was a little easier than trying to pinch the zone on the stand up. And this time I finally kind of figured out the beta for the top, which was to start right hand on the zone and then swap left hand when you go for the move. And I finally felt the finish hold, and it was a lot worse than I thought it was. It was pretty much just a flat foothold and not a crimp like I thought. Now this was my last attempt and I had 10 seconds, so I couldn't set up for the last move as good as I wanted to, so I just had to go for it. And I was so close. Let's look at the replay. Boom, my left hand just drive fired off the zone, which is tragic because that attempt felt just so good. Onto boulder 2. Not getting the top of boulder 1 definitely sucked, but it gave me confidence that I could actually top these boulders. However, I kind of fumbled this climb because once you hit the blue hold, you were supposed to slap into the volume to stop the momentum, and I didn't take the time to look for a different solution, so I didn't end up seeing that beta and I didn't get the zone. Now onto boulder 3, the power boulder, and coming out to this one, I was still pretty confident because I was feeling pretty strong, but pinches just aren't my strength, so this climb was going to be a fight. What I noticed after that first attempt was that I should get my right heel onto the start hold so I could pull in more to get to the black pinch, and that worked. And then after hitting the zone, I knew I was going to have to cut loose to get the foot over, which felt close but pretty hard because I just couldn't pinch hard enough. This attempt, I pretty much tried the same thing, except I tried to pinch harder, but it didn't work. Now this is my last attempt, and I was well, there's 2 jibs on the bottom of the dish, so maybe I can hold the swing if I match it, but to match it I would have to pinch the start with my feet really hard, and that was pretty spanned out for me, so it didn't work. And because of the goofy new world climbing zone rules, I didn't get the zone for this climb. Bruh. But zone or not, I still have 2 more climbs to bring it back, so onto boulder 4. It had this weird looking start, and for my first attempt I wanted to try campusing to the pink macro because it looked pretty good. And it almost went. I think I just needed more power. It was hard to generate there, so I changed and tried to go to the crimp, but I should have tried to go right hand, and it was still pretty hard. Now I kind of knew that the beta was to toe jam. I just wanted to try the other methods first, but now I started trying the intended beta. It was actually kind of hard to get your feet up though because the start hold was pretty bad and slippery, and it was 5,000 degrees in Salt Lake. But then on this attempt, I changed how I was holding the left jib on the start a little, and that made it a little better, and I was able to get my foot up into the crack. It was still pretty hard though because my feet kept sliding a little, so I was trying really hard to get them in there good enough so they wouldn't slide around. Then I finally felt like they were good, so I was able to go up to the crimp, and I knew time was running down, and I was I don't know if I can top this thing, but I'm not getting robbed of zone again. So I was just going to make sure that I grabbed the zone and then use it to try the next move, and yeah, that's exactly what I did, and I got the zone. Alright, so on to the last boulder, boulder 5, and looking at this thing, I knew I could top it if I could get zone, but in order to get zone, I would have to do that hard Cordo move first, and you know me, I'm not the Cordo goat, so it would be kind of tough to get zone. But with every attempt, I felt like I was getting closer and closer, but the little black crimp that you go to is actually full dual tech, so you have to land perfectly because you can't really like pull on the crimp at all. And that was my best attempt there, and with that, my boulder quality round was over. So I ended with 2 zones, and that placed me in 69th place. So no semis, but I definitely feel the improvement, and I just need to get better execution, but there's still one more chance for semis and lead later. We also went and watched the whole Boulder finals, which was pretty cool, so here's some clips from that. The next day after finals during lead qualies, any athlete that was competing at the comp was allowed to actually go and try the finals boulders, which was super cool to get and try these things. This slab was super technical with some super bad feet, but I did get pretty close to the top, and maybe if it wasn't like 500 degrees, then my shoes would have stuck to the footholds a little better. This one was a pretty cool Cordo move, and I did actually get the zone, but I didn't get it on video. But the thing I changed to get the zone was like putting my right foot as high as I could on the right start foot. I also tried the men's final problem, which had this super cool first move, and then I didn't really have the power this day for the move to the zone, even though I was close. And then there was this men's final slab, and this thing was pretty sick with some fun moves, and I kept getting super close to the finish. And I think if I had a little more time, I would have been able to send it, because you'll see that I just get super close to the finish. But now it's time for league qualification. My 2 routes were the yellow and blue one, which is my first route, and the black and blue one, which is my second route. Pulling on to route 1, I was pretty confident, even though I still really hadn't trained lead since before lead divisionals, but I did make youth national lead finals, so I had that confidence. I did end up like back clipping because there was a clip that was like spun all weird, but I realized it and I fixed it. But I think that kind of put me in a less flowy and confident climbing mode, because I started kind of tensing up and not climbing like I usually do. This thing was also just super physical, and you had to pull really hard on these like really bad holds. and with not being in lead shape, I got pretty pumped fast, but I did have decent power endurance and was able to fight the pump for a little bit. It was around here where I was pretty pumped and had to fight. And then right here is where I pumped out, so not that terrible of a first route, but it could have been better. On to route number 2, which was actually like 3 hours later because they were pretty behind on qualies, but I had time to think about what I could improve from route 1, and this time I was more locked in and flowy and relaxed and climbing a lot more like myself, and I actually felt really good. This route also had some sick moves on it, like this little jump to a good crimp, and there's a few other big moves. Up until right here, I was feeling really good. I was climbing well, not very pumped, and then I hit this next hold, which I thought would be a lot better, but it was terrible, and not a crimp like I thought it was. And then I went for this dumb right heel, which did not work, and I came off. So I ended lead in 59th place, yet again out of semis because I had poor execution, but now I know what I really need to work on for next season. We also went and watched the lead finals, and that was pretty sick. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be more locked in next season, so leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos.